Hi, I'm Lindsey, and I'm talking with medtech industry leaders on how they change lives for a better world.
The inventions and technologies are fascinating, and so are the people who work with them.
There was a period of time where I realized fundamentally my job was to go hang out with really smart people that are saving lives and then do work that would help them save more lives.
I got into the business to save lives, and it is incredibly motivating to work with people who are in that same business, saving or improving lives.
What better industry than where I get to wake up every day and just save people's lives?
These are extraordinary people doing extraordinary work, and this is The Leading Difference.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Leading Difference podcast. I'm your host, Lindsey, and today I'm absolutely delighted to introduce you to Charu Roy. Charu is the Chief Product Officer at Enlil, where she leads product strategy, vision, and execution for the company's AI-powered medtech development platform. With over 2 decades of experience building and scaling enterprise software products, Charu brings deep industry expertise in product management, user-centered design, and go-to-market leadership. Before Enlil, she held senior product roles at industry leaders including Epicor, Oracle, i2 Technologies / Aspect Development, HP, and Agile Software, where she drove software innovation across enterprise, cloud, SaaS, and data-driven solutions. Known for her ability to align customer needs with business strategy, she is passionate about delivering products that transform complex industries and enable measurable impact. Well, welcome, Charu, to the conversation today. I'm so excited to be speaking with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about being here on this podcast.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, well, I would love if you wouldn't mind starting off by sharing a little bit about yourself, your background, and what led you to MedTech.
Sure. As every other sort of person who gets into the software world, I came in a while back, 1987 to 89, where I did master's in computer science at University of Louisiana. That was my first introduction to America, really. And computer science brought me to the Bay Area, where I worked at HP, Hewlett Packard. In those days, it was called Scientific Instruments Division in Palo Alto. And there I programmed robotic hands to sort of move the vial from samples, drug samples from athletes, so that they could get tested for drugs. So I didn't know the importance of all this. It was my first job. I enjoyed myself. 7 years, software programming really, and understood how a large company works. And then slowly I started getting a little bored. So I went on to my next startup and was involved in the same kind of principles that drive things today. So I just sort of built my way up in terms of the software. I joined different groups, ran consulting services, ran engineering, and sort of worked myself up through the ranks and into sort of more decision-making capabilities. And, continued to join companies and learn new things and leave them for some better opportunities. So I moved from Hewlett Packard to a startup that was called Aspect Development, which got sold to i2 Technologies for $9.3 billion in those days. So, I went through that acquisition, trying to understand the market, what kind of software triggers buying, so sort of there's other software aspects of how to sell software, how to develop software, how to deploy it. So in general, I was learning all of the ropes until I came to Agile PLM, which is a company, which is a very popular company, which made it very sort of easy to deploy software, especially software called product lifecycle management. So I was in and out of companies, learning and understanding the world of software until I fell into med device companies being my customers. So med device being our customers meant, a lot more strictness, a lot more process with the software itself. So here I was trying to now go through those kind of features, trying to understand what med device needed when they were building products. So from Agile, I went to Conformia. Again, it was the same. It was regulatory product for wine, spirits, and pharma, very adjacent to med device. But again, it was the same thing about how to provide a traceable platform where our customers can trace the make of the wine or make of the spirit or make of a pharma drug or make also of med device. All the principles underlying it are the same because it's a regulated product at the end of the day. But so that's how I kind of fell into it. And I enjoyed every bit of that until I got acquired by Oracle. And so I continued at Oracle doing the same thing over and over again, rebuilt the same products again at Oracle in the cloud. And I was managing the old agile product. So it's an interesting journey where I was, started off as a software programmer and I didn't know anything about, the use cases until the time I sort of joined Oracle and understood my customers better. And that's how I came in there. And of course, I was at Epicor and finally I made my way to Enlil, which is a very small company. And I'm doing the same thing again. It's just with a different set of customers, very small to medium-sized companies. So that's how my career sort of spanned 30 years.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Well, there's so much to dive into all of that. Thank you for sharing. It's so cool to hear about all of the winding paths that lead us to maybe, where we're meant to be in any given season. And I just love learning about it. So, okay. So I'm curious, way back when, did you, like growing up, did you always have an interest in computers and computer science? Is this something you knew you wanted to get into?
Not at all. Actually, it was a suggestion. And in those days, parents kind of suggested that you be an engineer or a doctor or a chartered accountant. The choices were very limited. And so my father said, you will do computer science. And I said, okay. And there I was. And there was no sort of emotional attachment to any of those professions. And I liked it well enough to continue and found it was easy enough to understand the principles and work at it. So yeah, there was no, in these days, I think kids are training themselves like by 7 or 8 to program. And I'm seeing, machine language, AI, ML, LLMs being taught to 7-year-olds and sort of trying to shape them. But in those days, it was just some very simple choices, I guess. So yeah, not a very romantic story. I was never programming in my younger days, but I think, compared to all the choices youngsters have these days, but just tell it.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, how fun. Even though, yes, it was somewhat prescribed for you, or at least originally, and I'm so glad that you fell in love and it ended up being a happy place for you because.
Yeah. And I think I fell in love with how customers reacted to the software. I didn't fall in love with the software delivery process or anything else, but it was just the way customers said, oh, I like that. It's going to make it easier for me to do something. I'm having a tough time tracking it on paper. I just hated what I'm doing right now. And your software will help. So I think that's a part that makes me feel really pleased that, okay, it's going into some good hands and it's going to be used.
Yes. By people who really appreciate and value what you can contribute, what maybe comes at this point, I guess, naturally to you. And so you're able to translate somebody's ideas or dreams into a really tangible solution.
Yeah. And in fact, somebody's pain points, like they're really sort of trying their best to use little resources they might have, wasting a lot of time on either tracking something on paper or in emails. And I think those are the kind of pain points that I really like to understand and say, hey, will the software help really? Help your day-to-day life? Will it make it easier to find things? I think that's where I find my sort of biggest thrill of when a customer says, yes, you shaved off 3 hours of my time by giving me this efficient system.
Nice. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. And the products that you're making are indeed life impacting and make a difference. And that is rewarding because you know that the work you do, all work is important, but it's really fun when you get to know personally the impact that you get to have. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'd love to dive in a little bit more to your current company and role and learn about that and how you're still helping people, win through this.
So yes, absolutely. Enlil is part of ShifaMed, the portfolio. ShifaMed invests in devices typically, so ophthalmology devices or cardio devices. Enlil came about as an enterprise software company within the portfolio because they realized that they needed some software to throw all their data into, right? So they had early designs, prototype data. They might have had some user requirements, what kind of standards they might have to follow. So all those were floating about again in emails and paper. And Lil came in saying that we can store this data more successfully, more cleanly, in a structured fashion so that our users can find that data. And this becomes really important as the med device company moves on and tries to apply for regulatory approval. At that time, they need all that history and the data behind the device, and they want to be able to find it easily and present it to auditors. So, and Lil's structured way of describing all the data that the customer has and being able to find it easily and then run their audits using the data. So it's a very crucial part of their life cycle, their product life cycle. And so it's really important for us to be secure, reliable, available 24/7. All of that applies to us and basically defines how they go about driving their product life cycle.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that stood out to me when you were talking about that was, of course, the security aspect. And as we all know, we're probably much more so than in the past hyper aware of the critical need for cybersecurity and the role it plays specifically in medical device technology. And I'm curious if you could speak a little bit more to that particular element.
Yeah. We have a lot of layers of security, right from the folks who are accessing the software. The software is hosted in a well-known, reputable cloud service environment. So apart from them providing us cybersecurity and access control and everything else, we have another set of layers on top of that. So our users are vetted and they all have a password. People can be invited and not just show up. So there's a lot of control of what they can see and can do. Every button sort of, has a role behind it or a layer of control. So not everyone can do everything or press any and all buttons. So security is at many levels. And we also have a lot of audit trails, e-signatures, and so on. So everything is done to protect the data. And audits are run regularly by them and by us to make sure that nobody who's supposed to be, people are not supposed to see the data, don't see the data.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. I know that's just something that should be at least on the forefront, especially of startups' minds as they're thinking about this and working towards having a really secure device. So it sounds like you've built in all of that safeguarding really well and really intentionally. Yeah. So okay. So I know that, well, there's a few things that really stood out to me on your LinkedIn profile. And I'm just curious if we could dive into a couple of things.
Sure.
One was, I love how you said that you're passionate about teams and people delivering to their full potential. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more to that.
Yeah. So, along the years, I've noticed that people in my team, the team members, they're there, they're working hard, but I do like to understand what's making them tick. What might they be wanting to do, which they haven't gotten to do yet? Can we unlock some potential, some skill, some talent? And I think that comes about by sort of just talking about it, trying to give them openings about, hey, look, I've got this cool project or this cool feature. Any thoughts on that? Just to understand, are they happy doing what they're doing, or is there something more they could do? And so I think that human touch, it was given to me, or at least it was taught to me by some mentors along the way. And I think that's a part that I really like to explore and see how can teams do better, not just, numbers, not just turn around features and releases on time, but are they happy doing it? Did they contribute something meaningful along the way? Did they feel they grew in the process? Did they feel they were recognized for some new responsibilities that they may not have stepped up for in some other company? So that's a feeling I'm trying to always give them and sort of hoping that we contribute to their growth not just the company and the bottom line.
Yeah, that's critical and key and really speaks to who you are as a leader. And I'm actually very curious. You mentioned earlier having kind of worked your way up at HP and then, that may be opening some doors for you for, of course, your future opportunities. And I'm curious, what has your own leadership journey looked like? Does leadership come naturally to you? Have you spent a lot of, time and resources, whatever, developing those skill sets, or how did that work for you?
I think I was thrown into the deep end of the pool several times, like sort of kicked into the pool to swim. So similarly, I was made to take on responsibility pretty much at the very beginning. So I kind of knew that there were certain things expected that I should be doing, can be doing. And then this introspection saying that, did I give the right amount of energy to that particular responsibility, and did I do well? So just a lot of introspection and being able to understand, did I do well as a leader? But I've been honing skills. I mean, nothing out of an MBA school, nothing out of, college that helped me. I think it was just about pure interest in psychology, pure interest in humans, just being able to connect. And how did I make them feel? How did they make me feel in those interactions? And was that good? Was there something we could do to incorporate more people to get that feeling of ownership or anything? So it wasn't by rote or something that I learned in a school. It was more of just sort of being thrown into situations where I had to come out of it somewhat gracefully and somewhat feeling like I had also learned along the way.
Yeah. That's wonderful and incredible. And I think, you mentioned learning along the way. And one thing also that stood out to me was the recommendations on your profile are so lovely for you. And two things stood out. One thing was somebody mentioned you're always learning, which is a gift in and of itself. And then the other thing was you're always letting others succeed. And that's such a beautiful gift. And I'm wondering if you could talk more about both of those as well.
Yeah, I think it's not about just me being sort of the boss and being able to tell people what to do, though. I think success comes from enabling or encouraging the teams to, again, contribute without any barriers, any levels or politics. I love the fact that we're in a small company, and I can say safely that, politics in larger companies, there are politics. People are always trying to sort of be showing that they are very valuable. But in a small startup, it's very quickly apparent that there are certain valuable players there, and startups, everybody is valuable, right? So I think being able to encourage the team members to do what they think is best for the problem, to solve it. And of course, there are reasons why you can't sometimes accept the solution, but the fact that they're thinking about it and the fact they're able to openly express their opinions and say, no, you're wrong, Charu. I think this is the way to do it. I love that. I think somebody disagrees with me in a meeting. I just think that's the best thing that could have happened as a style of management, because I'm not, insecure in that sense. I don't sulk afterwards. I have had bosses and so on who don't like that kind of, disagreements in public. And I think that's a part where I beg to differ. And I want to have people say what they think, what are they feeling, what are the problems really, the truth, and fix it really. So I think it's less waste of a time when people are honest and get to the point and we're able to solve it together rather than hide behind, facades, I guess.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I've often said for me personally that, more heads are better than one. I mean, I could have an opinion on whatever it is that we're talking about, but really until we collaborate and start sharing those ideas and those thoughts and opinions, all of a sudden those kinds of sparks happen where, you start with one thing and then somebody else catches that and they take it even to the next level and it just keeps going. And it's so cool to see the creativity and problem solving and innovation that comes from allowing those conversations. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Creativity and innovation. You've said it so well. That comes with smart people being in the same room, arguing, not agreeing, and then something comes out of that, right? I mean, either your thoughts get clearer because you've seen every side of the coin and you're able to say, okay, I know the pros and cons and we can go this way. knowing the full effect of what we're going to do. So I think surrounding myself with smart people who have varied opinions, I think that's a beauty and a blessing, really.
Yes, it is. And you've nailed it with varying opinions. It's easy to get yourself into a situation and not necessarily intentionally, but just it's easy to get into a situation where you've surrounded yourself with people who all kind of have the same opinions on things.
Yeah, yeah,
And so inviting those conversations to take place that might be difficult, might be challenging, might be frustrating at times,
right.
but allowing for that and being open to other points of view and experience. I mean, that's the beauty of a really good collaborative environment is all of those varying opinions that don't necessarily match yours.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So looking back, could 10-year-old you have ever imagined where you'd end up today?
No, absolutely. I thought I wanted to be a doctor or something vague. 10-year-old me was climbing trees and eating guavas off the trees in Delhi. So it was a really crazy childhood. And, it wasn't filled with studies and rules and stuff. So I think coming to this country when I was young, being able to absorb everything, the culture, of course, the education itself, and being able to sort of grow within the companies that I joined, I think that was the journey that I was sort of pointing more towards rather than the childhood me. The childhood me was horrible, I think.
Oh man, honest reflection right there. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Are there any moments that really stand out to you, perhaps with your current position or, something in your past where you really thought, wow, what I'm doing makes a difference. I am in the right industry at the right time in the right place.
I think it's the technology now that, speaking from a technical viewpoint of shipping software, meaningful software more easily, the time is now. I feel that the culmination of everything I've learned about pain points and users and customers, all of that's culminating in the product that I'm managing right now, using new technologies, having the right technologies to choose from, and being able to propel that software forward to our users. I feel like, wow, what a time to be a product officer, really, when we have so many choices and being able to apply that to real world problems and real pain points. I had the same pain points 20 years ago, even 30 years ago, but we couldn't do much. We had to, write painful programs, we had to write database queries and, things like that. It was quite painful, I would say. And then now to see all the tools where we can create things overnight and be able to ship it to customers, just hitting the nail on the head. We had to experiment a lot in the old days, but I think the time now is really special. If we are on a sort of an industrial revolution or a computer science revolution here with the AI, ML, the LLMs, being able to do so much, probably less resources than before. So
Yeah. Yeah. So seeing the impact of the work and getting to not have it be so painful.
yeah, it will be very painful. And now I'm thinking, I think we're at the right time, right place now with this
Yeah.
product. And it's not just about the products, it's the kind of help we are getting as software professionals to help deliver software and support our users. I think that's really special. And we are still learning. We're still trying to understand all the technologies that are available to us and how can we make our lives easier and our customers feel that we've solved some problems for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it is really wonderful, again, just to circle back to this kind of been a running theme of getting to be able to experience for the end user or with the end user that moment of, oh, wow, I need it. This is so helpful. It's going to make a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember in my past, same sort of software tracking wine being made. And that software was pretty cool. And it used to track where the wine sat and which barrel for how long. And so the pleasure of talking to winemakers and being able to show them how the software tracked the progress of the wine and being able to print out a label at the very end for them saying that this wine sat in these bottles or these barrels for a while. And that technology application for a simple, naive user, I thought that was it. That was the culmination of all the learnings that I'd had over the years to be able to explain the software so easily to a end user who might be a distiller or a winemaker or somebody, a farmer. I thought that was pretty cool. And since then, of course, technology has changed, but I think we're beginning to see the effect on a naive user, which we couldn't do, 30 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness, it is so cool. I love the work you're doing and just learning all about your history so far, and just exciting to see where it's going to end up too, and as you continue along your career path. But pivoting the conversation a little bit just for fun, imagine that you were to be offered $1 million to teach a masterclass on anything you want. Could be within your area of expertise. It doesn't have to be. What would you choose to teach?
I would probably think about teaching psychology of the individual. I don't have a PhD or even basic courses in psychology, but I just love the fact that, you can apply psychology, figure out how a user might or somebody might react to something that you say, do, think. So if it was a master class, and I'd be teaching, teaching more about life interactions, ordinary interactions, how can they be made more meaningful, more fruitful, using psychological tricks or phrases. I don't know all of those things, but I would really think that I could teach that based on, facial expressions, body mannerisms, or body, what do they call it? Sort of, in criminal stories, they read your mind based on certain mannerisms or flutter violence. So yeah, psychology is a master class I would teach, but more applied to daily interactions, maybe work situations, and being able to use psychology better to improve your own work relationships with people, and even just general interactions. Yeah, so that would be my attempt at being a psychologist, and eventually be a criminal psychologist.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that'd be so interesting. Yeah, I love that idea. And the masterclass sounds fabulous. So I'm signing up whenever you do it.
Okay. We'll have to go get my degrees for it then.
Right.
Yeah.
Details.
Yeah.
Awesome. How do you wish to be remembered after you leave this world?
This is something that I've always felt deeply about. It's not what you say or what you do, it's how you make people feel. That Maya Angelou said that this much nicer than what I'm saying, and I've had a few people say this to me, saying that, we worked together 30 years ago, but that day you made me feel good. And I don't even remember what I said, what I did, but the fact that they remember me for what I've made them feel, the fact that somebody also told me that they don't avoid me when I'm walking up to them because I make them feel like thinking, okay, things are good, however bad the problem is. So they say that with other people, they would duck and, go away in the opposite direction. But with me, they're waiting for me to come up to them. I'd like to continue that feeling that somebody feels like, hey, you're coming up to them and you just make them feel good in some fashion. Nothing else. I think that feeling, if I could evoke in people, they say, oh yeah, she made me feel good that day. I don't know what she said, but she made me feel good. That's enough.
Yeah. That is more than enough. What
Yeah.
a beautiful legacy. Yeah. And then final question. What is one thing that makes you smile every time you see or think about it?
I think my dog's smile, I would say he's got missing teeth. And so when he looks at me when I first come back home, and he's smiling almost when he's sniffling and, trying to sneeze and smile at the same time. Oh my God, what kind of a character dog this is. So that makes me smile and laugh the whole time. It's, especially the missing teeth, poor thing. He doesn't understand that his teeth are missing because of me. And yet he's smiling at me. So it's
That is So sweet and cute. Oh my goodness. I know that somebody at one point said, dogs don't actually smile. I don't believe them. They smile.
They smile and they choke while they smile because my dog has a small nose, I guess. So
Yeah.
he chokes when he smiles. And so he's choking and then he's smiling and there's missing teeth there. So it's like, oh my God. It's very,
Oh my goodness. Yes. I mean, that would yes, I can just sort of picture this. I love dogs. And so I'm just picturing this and that would bring me joy every single day.
yeah.
Definitely.
It's funny.
Excellent. Well, this has been such a wonderful time spent with you today. Thank you for sharing your stories and your journey and your advice. And I really appreciate some of those, in particular, your leadership advice and the impact that you can have as a leader, inviting the collaboration, having conversations that encourage people to have varying opinions and maybe outright disagree with you. I
Yeah.
love what you're wanting your legacy to be. And so that's how you're intentionally showing up in the world. And so I just want to thank you so very much for being here. We're really grateful to have you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your intelligent questions and insightful questions that go above and beyond just, a company and its goals. There's something so human about your questions. And I love that. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so interesting to see in this day and age, somebody taking the time to ask such questions. And I really appreciate you for that.
Oh, thank you. Well, I really appreciate that feedback too, because it's, you come up with an idea. Speaking of sometimes echo chambers, you come up with an idea and you think, oh, this is how I'd like to go about this,
Yeah.
but does it resonate with somebody else? So that's
No,
delightful.
it's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And we're so honored to be making a donation on your behalf as a thank you for your time today to the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, which is dedicated to preventing animal cruelty in the United States. So thank you for choosing that organization to support.
Thank you so much. And gosh, I just wish you the most continued success as you work to change lives for a better world. And to all of our listeners for tuning in, I want to thank you for being here as well. And if you're feeling as inspired as I am right now, I'd love it if you'd share this episode with a colleague or two. And we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
The Leading Difference is brought to you by Velentium Medical. Velentium Medical is a full-service CDMO serving medtech clients worldwide to securely design, manufacture, and test Class 2 and Class 3 medical devices. Velentium Medical's 4 units include research and development, pairing electronic and mechanical design, embedded firmware, mobile app development, and cloud systems, with the human factor studies and systems engineering necessary to streamline medical device regulatory approval. Contract manufacturing, building medical products at the prototype, clinical, and commercial levels in the U.S. as well as in low-cost regions in 1345 certified and FDA-registered Class 7 clean rooms. Cybersecurity, generating the 12 cybersecurity design artifacts required for FDA submission. And automated test systems, assuring that every device produced is exactly the same as the device that was approved. Visit ValentiumMedical.com to explore how we can work together to change lives for a better world.